Hey, what's going on? Ryan here with Intersection Records, and tomorrow marks the 30th anniversary of a really sad day for all of us, the day that Jerry Garcia died. He died on August 9th, 1995. I had just graduated from college, and I put a suit on that day thinking I was going to drive around and find a job, go door knocking at some companies, and mainly what I did was drive around and listen to music. And around, I don't know, 11 o'clock in the morning, I was driving on Clarkson Road in Chesterfield, Missouri, and I heard that Garcia died. And at first, I was sure that it was Jerry Garcia. And then for a minute, I thought it was Andy Garcia, the actor that was in Godfather 3 and some other movies. And I'm like, yes, Andy Garcia died. Of course, I wouldn't want Andy Garcia to die. But then the radio station broke into Birdsong, which was not part of the normal format of KC95 in 1995. And at that moment, I realized it was Jerry Garcia that died, and I was just devastated. I'd come off a spring tour in 95 and some summer shows and shows in previous years while I was in college. Some great shows, some not so great shows, and was really just loving the dead and realizing that I'm going to see this guy and this band. And I don't think anybody realized how sick he was, even though he looked really bad. Even from 94 to 95, the hair went completely white. He was frail, weak looking, and just some of the life not only was out of his skin, but his playing was, in some shows, just wasn't good. And we all know that. I want to celebrate the 30 years by doing some stats, reading some quotes from famous people that he played with. He dies on August 9 of 95. His last show was at Soldier Field on exactly a month earlier, on 7/9 of 95. The last song he sang was Black Muddy River, which is appropriate. We will all walk alone on the Black Muddy River. He did over 450 different songs live with the Grateful Dead. Think about that. 450 different songs. He did over 4,000 shows. I've seen numbers of 4,700. The internet shows numbers of 2,300 Grateful Dead shows. But when you go to jerrybase.com and you look at all of the solo shows, in 1970, he did 356 shows. Some of those shows, New Riders of the Purple Sage, which Jerry was a part of for a period of time. Jerry's New Riders of the Purple Sage were opening up for the Grateful Dead. Plus, he was doing shows with Howard Wales and in solo stuff. There's numbers where he did as many as 4,700 shows. 4,000 public shows, 700 private shows. Think about that. 4,000 would be a show every day for 13 years. And we're talking 1965 to 1995. The guy was obsessed with the road. He only lived 19,367 days in his life. 4,700 shows. That's amazing. Here's what Bob Dylan had to say about Jerry Garcia. To me, he wasn't only a musician and friend, he was more like a big brother who taught and showed me more than he'll ever know, even though Bob's a year older than Jerry. A big brother who showed me and taught me more than he'll ever know, wrote Dylan. Although Garcia had his irons in many well-established fires, he combined them all to create a nuanced project. There's no way to measure his greatness or magnitude as a person and a player. He really had no equal. Think about that. Bob Dylan. His playing was moody, awesome, sophisticated, hypnotic, and subtle. There's no way to convey the loss. It just digs down really deep. Dwight Yoakam said, I'll miss him every time I hear the sweet sound of steel guitar on Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young's Teach Your Children. That's Jerry playing steel on the solo and the intro and outro. John Bell from Widespread Panic. Jerry Garcia's talking guitar and vocal approach together painted images that let me experience the music and both a personal and what I believe to be a universal level. David Grisman, who he did many shows with in the 80s, 90s, and before the Grateful Dead, he was smart and funny and had an awful lot of depth and passion and soulfulness. He could pick, if you could pick one guy who was the essence of all the best things of the 60s and what happened with the hippie subculture, he would be the best example of that spirit. Bruce Hornsby, who played off and on in the 80s on one-offs with the Dead, but then from the fall of 90, really through like 92, was a mainstay with the Grateful Dead. Garcia spoke to my jazz consciousness and symbolized freedom. Neil Casal, there is no one who has ever created music with a combination of intelligence, intuition, depth, creativity, and humor that Jerry Garcia has. His work and life will continue to be a limitless source of inspiration for us all. Lyle Lovett, the loss of Jerry Garcia feels like the end of an era in the same way it felt like when Elvis or John Lennon died. Ornette Coleman, free jazz, great. Jerry Garcia was an original American icon. He played naturally and beautifully. Branford Marsalis, there is not a sentence in the world that could respectfully do justice to the life of Jerry and music of Jerry Garcia. David Crosby, the music was wonderful. They were like a big electric jug band. Jerry was a major magic force. Bob Weir, I see him in my dreams all the time. I hear him when I'm on stage. I would say I can't talk to him, but I can. I don't miss him. He's here. He's with me. That's hard to get out. Trey Anastasio, a very gentle and unassuming man who brought so much joy and love into people's lives through music. Why do we listen to music? To interrupt Trey, because it makes us feel good. Trey goes on to say, I can't think of a more profound and beautiful accomplishment at the end of one's lifetime is to bring that joy and love. Grace Slick from Airplane and Jefferson Airplane. Jerry Garcia and the Grateful Dead did as much for mankind as any president. Paul Kantner from the Airplane and Starship, he was humble. He always said that he hoped he would learn to play guitar well before he died. Jerry was humble. Jerry did not think he was a good guitar player. Jerry said before that he was surprised when he was first playing that people would stay until the end of the first song. Jorma Kaukonen from Airplane, he created a whole genre of music himself. Mickey Hart, where do I begin? There's so much to say about him. He was a benign, lovable guy, and he was also a magic man, a shaman. Bill Kreutzmann, Jerry was the best musician I ever played with. He was 100% music. Every pore, every bit of his body, every molecule was music. Whether he liked it or not, he was like a Miles Davis or John Coltrane or somebody like that, just completely locked into it. I always felt that I could hear in his music him talking about things at a much deeper level than what appeared on the surface. God, don't we all feel like that sometimes? There aren't many musicians who have that gift to be really profound. Melvin Seals, keyboard player in Jerry Band, he was the greatest humanitarian I've ever known. He gave happiness and joy to anyone who came across his path. Dennis McNally, one of his biographers. Jerry Garcia was the most remarkable mind and personality that I ever encountered. Think about that. What if somebody said that about you? The most curious, the most articulate, the most charismatic. Talking with him was about as much fun as I could stand. He was the most curious, the most articulate, the most charismatic person he'd ever met. Dan Healy, the sound guy for the Dead, he was extremely generous. I've seen him give away brand new automobiles to people who were destitute. I've seen him give away a complete studio's worth of equipment to musicians who were down on their luck. He was the Santa Claus of art. Joan Baez, Jerry was a kind man as I knew him, who never turned down a request for a benefit from Cambodian refugees to AIDS. Suzanne Vega, he was a charismatic guy and had a spirituality I found hard to describe. Warren Haynes, one of the things that some people overlook is the vast amount of great songs he left behind. Listen to the songs that are contained on his first solo album in 1972. So Jerry, of course, had albums starting in 1967. Of course, they do American Beauty and Working Man's Dead in like 1970, 1971, chock full of songs. His first solo album called Garcia had Deal on it, Birdsong, Sugaree, Loser, To Lay Me Down, and The Wheel. The second album was covers. His third solo album called Reflections had Might As Well, Mission in the Rain, They Love Each Other, I'll Take a Melody. That was side one. Side two had It Must Have Been the Roses and Comes a Time and a couple other songs. He wrote or co-wrote the following songs: Casey Jones, Shakedown Street, He's Gone, Brown Eyed Women, Althea, Built to Last, Truckin', Tennessee Jed, Uncle John's Band, Ramble on Rose, U.S. Blues, Cumberland Blues, China Cat Sunflower, Cats Down Under the Stars, Deal, St. Stephen, Cosmic Charlie, Black Peter, High Time, New Speedway Boogie, Candyman, Friend of the Devil, Broke Down Palace. Here's my top 10 Jerry Garcia songs. Loser. A great example of that is September 3rd, 77 in Englishtown, New Jersey. Ripple. A great example of that is April 29 of 71, Fillmore East. Dark Star. Listen to the version on Live Dead from 1969. Touch of Grey. Listen to the Scarlet Touch of Grey, Fire on the Mountain from Starlight Theater in Kansas City on July 3rd of 84. Dire Wolf. These are all songs Jerry wrote. Of course, Robert Hunter wrote the lyrics. Let's not forget that. May 270 in Binghamton, New York. Terrapin Station. Swing Auditorium, 22677, which is the first ever version of that. Wharf Rat, Hartford, May 28th of 77. Ruben and Charisse, April 10 of 82, Capitol Theater. Help on the Way from One from the Vault, August 13th of 75. That's almost 50 years ago. Great American Music Hall, San Francisco. Scarlet Begonias is my second favorite Garcia song off of Mars Hotel. Cornell 77. And then my favorite Jerry song, Eyes of the World, with Branford Marsalis, March 29 of 90. How about 8/6 of 74? How about Palo Alto in February of 73? How about Oklahoma City in October of 73? Tomorrow will be 30 years that the great Jerry Garcia has passed away. It makes us all feel old. It makes us sad. But it also is a testament to the fact that this music has still survived. And I think it is bigger than it's ever been. It's taken on more fans. Say what you want about Dead Company. They have created more fans for this music and Jerry Garcia's legacy. Rest in peace, Jerry. I want to thank everybody that's been watching my shows and subscribing to my channel lately and hitting the thumbs up and making comments. What are your favorite Grateful Dead songs? Or what are your favorite Jerry Garcia songs? Where were you when you heard the news that Jerry Garcia passed away? Tomorrow's going to be that day, August 9th. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Peace out. See you.